Isn't that the truth, my friends? Hello, welcome to SBG News. I'm your co-host, Robert Imbriali, and in a moment I will bring in my other esteemed co-host, the good-looking co-host, I should say. Yeah, just calling it like it is, folks. That's the way it is. Hey, that was a great video. I want to talk to Lewis a little bit more about that. Come on in here, great-looking co-host.
Aren't you adorable?
Oh, aren't we both, right?
Yeah. I love that video. That's exactly where we are and where we need to be, but we need to manifest this because the government is supposed to be probably 95% smaller than it actually is in virtually every country, because we are supposed to look to God first, then ourselves, then our family, then our community, well before we even look to government. So, and because all the solutions get solved within that process right there, right? It always does. If you look historically at anything that's run appropriately and people are happy, higher happiness rates, there's a sense of community that has gone on. Now that's intentionally been divided in the United States for sure. And you could even just see it in the way housing is structured, so on and so forth. Let me give you a quick example. Back in the day, houses would have all the frontage, their yard in the front, so people would spend all their time in the front yard and they would make more neighborly connections. Now I have to be very transparent. I prefer the backyard because I prefer the privacy and try to make it a staycation and so on and so forth. But I do love having I love the idea, and I've created this for a lot of people in my construction business before, of having a place to at least sit out front, right, and say hi to the neighbors. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that creates community. You know, something Robert and I've been stressing for a while is get to know your neighbors.
Yep.
It is very important that we get to know our neighbors. And I haven't done a great job at that, especially with all the traveling, but I know it needs to be done. And the more we can get to know our neighbors and really find out who they're, what they're about, if anything ever goes down, they're there for you. And I mean locally or nationally. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very important. The cabal, the last thing they want you to do is be neighborly. The last thing they want you to do is connect with inside of a community, because they understand that's where the power is.
Well, he said it too in the video. He said, they're doing everything they can to divide us for politics and race and income status and all that. Oh, you drive a Prius. Oh, I can't be friends with you. That kind of thing.
I can understand that.
Well, yeah, well, okay. I got you there. Yeah. But you look at it from that perspective, and it's like we're divided along so many different lines. And what you want to look at is you want to look at making you want to look at your life as being more horizontal rather than vertical, right? The vertical is we rely on the government, those in power, the authorities, all the rest of it. And if you look at some of these authorities, you look at some of these police officers and stuff, and they're 20-somethings, they know nothing. They're totally indoctrinated. They don't know how the world works. They don't know. They just know what they're told, and their training is very sparse and go. And it's like these are the authorities that we're supposed to look up to. Doctors, the same thing. We look up to doctors as being the end-all, be-all, and they're just so indoctrinated they can't even see beyond what they've been taught. So you come to them and you say, hey, I've got this issue. They can't talk to you about anything as far as nutrition goes, as far as emotional health goes, as far as any of that stuff, which is the predominantly more powerful issue when you have a health concern. They can't even talk about it. All they do is they match a symptom to a drug. That's what they were trained to do. And they know no other way. And I hear they're not even allowed to talk to you on another level about it. So yeah, instead of being vertical about it and saying, oh, we got to look to authority always, what we want to do is look more horizontal. And we're tending to do a lot more of that here. And we're connecting with more of the neighbors. We need someone to fix this or someone to do that. And there's a cool little group for our neighborhood in Facebook, and everyone's doing that. Hey, do you know a good contractor? Do you know this? You know that? And we're starting to get to know each other a little bit better. So it's happening kind of organically too, which is really cool to see because it has to at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yep.
And you know what? We're everything. What we're doing is we're really unwrapping this whole mess that we've been in over. I mean, of course, it's happened for 1,000 years, right? And it's got worse and worse. But there's some key points in the last century that really were harsh. I mean, of course, there was 1871 and kind of the manipulation of the Constitution. But if you go more modern times, 1913 was a big deal.
Right.
1930 and 31 was a big deal. You have where they started to find out how they can manipulate people and MK Ultra people, right? And then of course you have the Kennedy assassination, because it looks like he was trying to get rid of the deep state. And then of course after the Kennedy assassination, you had the strongest infiltration inside of our communities ever, and that was this whole CIA Black Ops deal on the American people throughout the 70s. And I can go really deep into that. And of course you had the 80s and the cocaine generation in the 90s, and now we know where we are today. So right. It's the indoctrination has been extraordinarily heavy over this last century. I mean, scary heavy. But guess what? We're reversing the trends now, and we're peeling away the layers slowly. And this is why, yes, I was upset on January 6th, but at the same time, I get exactly where we're going, because we have to peel this onion one layer at a time to get to where we need to get, or we're going to fall right back into it, because we're unwrapping thousands of years of control.
I look at it on a daily basis too. And, you know, today I was asking the questions, how am I feeling about everything, right? I always ask myself that question, how am I feeling? And very positive is the answer that I came up with today, because I'm seeing everything unravel. It's unraveling so quickly. I was telling Phoebe this. It's like, wow, you look at all the disclosure that's happening. It's not just a little bit now. It's really ramped up, and it's coming at you so quick. I was looking at all the stories today, and it's like, wow, where it's like, it's like, it's coming at us like a fire hose now. It really is unraveling quickly. So I can't look at that and be upset. I got to look at it and say it's very positive to see that, because it's not going to stand anymore. That's, you know, the final stages before something collapses is, you know, it all falls apart, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, I think we're in exciting times, and I would just ask everybody to embrace the journey instead of reject it, because this will be something to talk about in the future for sure. Oh yeah. Take lots of pictures. Take lots of videos. We're doing like almost like a little album. We're saving a lot of the news clips and some of the crazy that's going on, because I think 10 years from now we'll look back and say, no way was it that crazy. Well, yeah, here it is. You know what I mean? You won't remember it back then. I've got like, I think 18,000 photos in my camera roll now. It's like, and then most of it's screenshots and videos and downloads. I'm gonna have to buy more storage soon, because it's really getting big. It's kind of interesting that, you know, there's so much to look at. We have a special guest with us today. Our sponsor is with us. Shall we introduce our buddy here? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Matthew Geiger is joining us today. Matthew, how are you, my friend? I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
He's silent.
He's silent.
Matthew's
he is muted.
Silent. Yep.
You need to unmute, Matthew.
Unmute. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
He got all dressed up for us today, too.
He did. He looks good. I mean, yeah, he looks like a man of the hour here.
He's got a kind of a
there
little...
We go.
There you go.
He's got a kind of a JFK Jr. flair to him. Have you ever noticed that?
I'm with the two most handsome men on the internet.
There we go.
Yeah, you and yourself.
I'm in my own studio this time. When we first spoke in the last one, I was down in Yuma. So this is my little studio that, you know, I set up for my own podcast, Boomerang Podcast. You know, I do it for the company. And today we spoke with Sheila Home. She's incredible. She just wealth of knowledge. Yesterday, Mark Fincham actually came by the office. And he actually had some really, I never knew, created legislation when he was working here in Congress in Arizona. He actually created legislation to make gold and silver coin as money. A lot of people didn't know that.
Didn't know
that. For sure.
Yeah. And wealth of knowledge. He's an I met him at the Flynn event last week. We all went to go see General Flynn at the Flynn movie premiere that was over in Glendale.
Now, I'm curious with Fincham and Kerry Lake on the Supreme Court thing. They have hard evidence that many people, including Michelle Swinick, has developed but they never introduced that as part of the case. And one of the reasons why Supreme Court didn't take this is there's like, it's a nothing burger. There's really nothing there. We're not going to even look at it. I wonder why they're not. Do you think it's part of the plan, or why do you think that they're not in Europe?
Dead to rights.
Yep.
I think there is a plan. I do. I was watching Scott Bennett the other day on Nino's channel, and I mean, he was tearing these guys a new one. I mean, it's like he's bashing Trump, he's bashing everybody, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I love Trump and I love Flynn and I love all these people, but like, what are you doing? Why are you not Why are you not going after these people? You have the evidence, so yeah. I mean, there has to be something going on. I mean, they're clearly. I think it actually makes it clearer that they're setting them up for something else.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. I feel, and I know it's frustrating for people like Michelle or the people that have their boots on the ground and doing the work. I know it's so frustrating, and I feel for them because I'm the one always pushing everybody's buttons, get it out there and do something. And when you do something right, and it's not being looked at. But I definitely believe by some conversations that I had, it really seems like everything's being rolled out at a certain timing.
Exactly.
Great example. As soon as the Stormy Daniels case comes up, Trump rolls out a letter that she states, no, nothing ever happened, right? With her signature on it. It's not like he just got that the day before. They held on to it probably for years, waiting to release that on time. So I have a feeling that's what we're going to be looking at with all this stuff. And that's why I caution them with Flynn. A lot of people are hating on Flynn, and a lot of people love Flynn. And I go, Flynn's a psyop with a psyop wrapped in another psyop. That's what he does. So I would hold judgment on that one for now, because a lot of what he does is with intent, and it doesn't seem like it, but he's a master at this.
Agreed. And I think to Robert's point before about, the whole, we're going to have to rethink the medical system. I think, that applies to all these different systems. It's like I work in, let's call it the financial system. I think people have to rethink, how money works. I mean, look at what's going on right now. They're having to print, I think right now, I think it's for every 100 days, they have to print $1 trillion just to float the debt. And when I spoke to Juan, just in a private conversation before he came on my podcast, I spoke to him. It's like an hour of his time. I mean, the guy's so generous with time. But anyway, it's like if people think that you're going to have $35 trillion without consequence, you are living in just fantasy world.
That's exactly right.
And I think the dynamic at play, and I said this kind of in our last episodes, I think what the mainstream media does is they run cover for the banks. The banks have already failed. They're already under. Mm-hmm. But the media is waiting for a specific time to admit it, kind of similar to what we were just talking about, where, they're waiting for probably a specific time to go after indictments of these people, right? That's maybe why, these different players, Fincham, Kari Lake, maybe that's why they're holding back. I think it's similar in the financial system where they're, right, the fake news and the deep state banks, right, because that's what they are, they're all deep state. I think they're waiting for a time of their choosing to admit that there's problems, right? They always operate problem, reaction, solution. But this time, as I mentioned, they're in competition for that solution. And I think Trump and the White Hats, I think they have a much better idea. Because of somebody like Mark Fincham, you have somewhere around, I think, 20 different states that have copied Mark Fincham's legislation here in Arizona for gold and silver backed money. That could just be sitting on the sidelines, just waiting to be implemented, ready to go when the time is right. So I'm thankful to be in Arizona, right? As much corruption goes on here, I do think it's a state that can bounce back. But if you're in a state like, California, I mean, good luck. So I think where you live, the locality of where you are right now, I think that's going to play a big role in how this whole crisis that's coming impacts you.
Well, that's actually the way the Republic was set up. So it actually makes sense. It's supposed to be a state by state deal. And interesting enough, California is leading the way on getting rid of poisons in food. So that's exciting, and surprising, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
So what did you want to bring to the table today, Mr. Geiger?
I mean, it's just more of the same. I mean, I think, things are getting sticky in the banking system. I think they have been getting sticky. I mean, last year we saw a string of banks go under, and what was interesting was I sit in on some podcasts, similar to what I do here. And I had caught a video. InfoWars had it up. Alex Jones, he had it up. And it was a video of of the FDIC. It was somebody, was in a meeting room, and it was the FDIC board members. They're all sitting there talking about how there's going to be problems in the banks right around the corner, and they have to do all these things to cover up the signals. And I went on some of these different podcasts, and I said, I think we're going to have bank collapses this year. This is, a little over a year ago. And lo and behold, you had, what was it, 6 or 7 banks last year, string them, just go under. I think we're going to see more of that, right? These people, if you think that the, SEC and, right, all these different governing organizations of the banks and financial system, if you don't think that they're corrupted, again, you're sorely mistaken. Mm-hmm. These people are covering up what's really going on. If those banks failed, right, every other bank's going to fail. And we know what the ending is. The ending is the CBDC, right, the central bank digital currency. What is the central bank digital currency? Well, what it is it's a bank account directly with the Federal Reserve. So it's almost like, the ending of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. So if you just hit rewind, well, what happened to all the banks before that? They went out of business. So you're going to continue to see this bank consolidation, right? Probably the last 3 banks standing are probably going to be JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, right? They're going to swallow up all the other banks. And next thing you know, then they're going to say, hey, we're having problems, and we're going to hand it off to the Federal Reserve. And they'll probably try to position the Federal Reserve as the big hero in all this. Meanwhile, it's been their monetary policy all these years that got us in this mess in the first place.
Right. I think they may bring in the Treasury and as the hero, but we'll see what happens here.
The Treasury did take over the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And no one's, including myself, no one's fully figured out what actually took place there.
Yeah, and that's intentional too, which just tells you that there is a plan of sorts going on.
Yes.
I don't pretend to know what it is. I know my wife just talked to a friend of hers that is an actual banker. She's the manager of a bank. And if I understood the conversation correct, she's actually saying that they're starting to document and have a better understanding of foreign currencies through documentation constantly. Like they're being trained on it right now, which is very interesting because she specifically asked about the Iraqi dinar. So it's very interesting that they're paying attention to that type of currency right now. So yes, something's up.
Well, you're seeing too in malls around America, these exchange booths are popping up too. These currency exchange things are popping up in American malls, and people are like, "What's that doing here?" You normally see that at like airports or something, and now it's just out in the open in the malls. So something's coming.
Costco selling gold bars.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They can't keep them in stock. As soon as they're up, they're gone in hours. It's crazy.
Well, it's good for business for us because it's like you can only go there and buy one at a time. So, hopefully it gets people's palates wet, and then they got to go to their local coin shop. It's like, I don't tell people that they have to come to Midas. It's like, just the key is to get your hands on the stuff. Go to your local coin shop, whoever it is, go pick up your gold, pick up your silver, right? If you want to call us, we obviously love to have the business. But I think the key is to really start getting prepared. We've seen an uptick in gold price. And one of my friends, I got this little bar restaurant after work from time to time. And one of my friends, Terry's an IT guy. He put gold prices in just the most succinct way you could possibly do it. And he says, Matt, I see, gold's up. He knows what I do. He says, Matt, gold's up. Gold's moved up like 20%. And I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. It's not people making money. It's just, the dollar's losing value. And he's like, what gold price, what the uptick in gold price fraud that's been going on until they really, right, they're going to have to start opening up their books. They're going to have to start showing what's really going on. And they know it. They have their backs against the wall. There's nowhere to go for these guys. So what I just tell people is your money's just digits on a screen. You go into your online banking on your phone, it's just digits on a screen.
Yeah.
What I can do is perform the greatest magic trick in history is I'll turn fake money into real money.
Yeah. Beautiful. And let's let everybody know what makes you different and where can they contact you?
First off, I like to think I'm one of the patriots. I'm in the community. I'm pretty active with, trying to support, made a donation to Swinnick, made a donation to Fincham, Tina Peters. I try to, where I can show up to the Board of Supervisors meetings, which was today, right? Because I got to be here in the store. I really do try to make a difference and do what I can to support the patriots that are on the front lines. And that's just me. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. When I started learning about this stuff, I just, I was just one of those people, probably like your audience, that you want to do whatever you can. Secondly, I'm a gold shop. I'm an actual storefront. So, I'm sitting here in the little studio we created, right? I got the wand stuff on the wall. It's kind of fun. I do a podcast where, I try to bring on really great guests and try to get the information out there. And I have the inventory. I got a vault, 100 feet away from me with millions of dollars of gold and silver. So if you call up and there's something you want, I can guarantee that product. Getting it sent to you door to door, FedEx, signature required, fully insured. And we're also veteran owned and operated. So James Clark is the owner of Midas. You met James Lewis. He served in the U.S. Marine Corps, as a corporal in the Marine Corps, served in Afghanistan. He does a lot of stuff for the veteran charities. So I like to think it's a good company culture, not one of these like call centers out of L.A. We're not one of these Beverly Hills places. These guys are, actors by night and, trying to become the next Guns N' Roses. And then their day job is gold and silver. They don't care. There's no gold and silver at these spots, Yeah. They charge outrageous premiums. We're a true blue gold shop. And I love working with your audience who have been terrific so far. Because it's your family. It's the people who, we went down to that Patriot rally where we met, and it's like, that's where you meet your real friends, is at these Patriot events. Those are the people that you realize, it's funny, I get some of your viewers who called in and, they're up there in, Illinois or some, liberal place in California is just driving them nuts. They have no one to talk to. And I tell them, I'm like, you know what you should do? Do therapy. Come down here to Arizona. We'll take you to some Patriots.
Yeah, we're coming up with a solution today. We're going to talk about if you feel like you're on an island, how to connect with people. So that's cool. So speaking of connecting, Matt, where can they find you? What's the best way to contact you?
Just call me. My direct phone number is 480-725-0536. Or you can go into the website, put an inquiry and just make sure you mention Lewis and Robert, right? So that way we know you're one of their viewers. And for your viewers, I'm doing silver giveaways. We're doing George magazines, all kinds of stuff. Kennedy memorabilia. I'm like the king of Kennedy memorabilia. So I bought so much stuff over the years that I'm happy to just send out, little things here and there, stuff, little keepsakes. So people like that. I've sent out a couple of George magazines to your viewers. And we have fun with it, It's like, why not?
Very cool. Well, Matt, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on today. You and I will be in touch for sure.
Appreciate
Absolutely,
you, Matt.
boys.
Thank you for your sponsorship of our show as well.
Thank you, Robert.
I appreciate you.
I'll see you guys.
All right.
Adios.
Take care. Whew, very good. Good to get a kind of an overview of what's going on in the world of finance too.
Yeah.
All right.
I like dealing with somebody who has some knowledge with inside our group too. Which is
absolutely.
Really cool.
Hey, before we get rolling, tell us what's going on here at Screw Big Gov. I know there's something big we're going to announce in a few minutes.
Yes, there is, but that's screwbiggov.com, where if you want to figure out what Screw Big Gov or that Lewis Herms dude is doing, that's the place. All links to my social media are there. Links to all the films are there. Links to Remember Your Oath. It's going to become really important very soon. And links to freedomaction.net are there as well. And if you want to get some really cool swag, you would also go to screwbiggov.com. I would get on our newsletter. It's very, very important because you never know, based on the way these sites are working, if we're going to get dumped off of any one given site any day. Don't worry. Don't panic. If you're on the newsletter, you'll find out immediately where we are.
And we have news on that coming up as well today. And you could follow me, Renegade Media, on Telegram, or email me, robert@renegademedia.tv. And we also have a mailing list that you should be on. We are promoting and talking about the current events because there's a lot of fear porn that's been out there so much. It's crazy that people are just like in they're what I call suspended animation, right? They're afraid to take a step forward, afraid to live their lives. And we try to dispel that and help you get back on track because it is disheartening sometimes to be so connected to the news and not really know what's going on, what the backstory is. Looks real. Not always real, though.
Not always real.
Not always real. Okay, let's get started today with the climate emergency. This is on Fox News yesterday. So the question I have, Lewis, watching this is, remember we talked about the War Powers Act being the matches, but the matches keep going out. Nothing seems to happen. The Houthis, the Iranians, the Israelis, Syria, all the rest of it doesn't seem to be kicking anything off. I think a lot of these countries are aware that that's part of the game. So is this plan B?
This is plan A, B, and C.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is extraordinarily calculated. And the way you can tell the desperation is it seems like the AP is asking its readers to start referring to this as a climate crisis. So that's what's saying is the propaganda message isn't taking anymore. So now we're begging the people to start proliferating our propaganda message because they're not doing it. So can you imagine that? Imagine 50 years ago, a news outlet telling the people how you should refer to something. Let that sink in, people. So the good news is that's an act of desperation if you've ever seen one. The fact that they're telling you this is the way you need to start talking about this they're not just putting it climate crisis. This is what they used to do in the past, because the sheep, and I hate to say that, would just go ahead and restate the narrative. Clearly, there's less sheep restating the narrative, so they're telling you this is what you must do. So this is actually pretty exciting for me. Number one. Number two, if you've noticed, they used to put out what they called scientific evidence of going through the WHO, having the CDC jump on board, and then doing a kind of like a Powers Act through the administration, but that's not going to fly. It's going to have to get a 2/3 vote. So I believe a lot of this is false optics, and it's scare tactics. I'm not concerned about it, but I do like it because people are paying attention, and clearly they're pushing back because it doesn't seem to be catching, just like disease X didn't catch or monkeypox didn't catch.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that's what's going on. And you talk to a lot of people in the street, and they're like, "Yeah, if mandates come around again, we're not following it. We were fooled once, we're not going to be fooled again." Now, Phoebe mentioned something. She said that she was out in the stores yesterday and sees a lot of people around here with masks on, including the employees of the stores. All of a sudden, this is back. And I'm like, okay, so we got to figure out where they're getting that messaging from. Okay, so there's a story in the news, about this avian flu being in cow's milk, of all things. Are you going to breathe the milk in? Are you snorting it? What's going on here? So the stories don't even make sense on their face. Forget about anything else. But there are a lot of people who are just not going to follow it. So yeah, they have to introduce the fear. So I'm with you on this. It's like, you know what? I don't buy into it. I don't look at the fear. I just look at, this is desperation. If it's anything, it's desperation. And let's see how many people they can enroll into their narrative.
Yeah, it's kind of weird too, and I think it's supposed to be weird. You know what I mean? It gives everybody an uneasy feeling,
Yep.
so on and so forth. I do see the masks doing a pickup, but it seems to me it's very old, sickly people, and mainly college-age students.
Yep. Very young.
I don't think that's an accident. So what's happened is they're probably pumping this narrative into the college-age students a lot, and therefore, because they know they're in the workplace, and when you're in the workplace, more people are going to see them. Therefore, that's the indoctrination. But I have no fear in regards to that also. But guys, we are in Southern California, so we're going to see it a lot more than the rest of you around the country.
Yeah.
Unless maybe, Massachusetts or New York.
How true. So
Oregon or Washington. Okay, I'll throw them.
Okay.
Colorado. We'll throw Colorado in there too.
So we'll see where this goes, what they try to pull on us next. But I think, shows like ours, there's enough of us out there, dismantling these narratives as they get started. Right away they come out, and right away we're like, yeah, don't buy into it. Here's why. And we give you the reasons, and all of a sudden, the narrative loses its power. It was back then. There wasn't this alternate viewpoint, if you will. And I think a lot of us were simply, the way I look at it, we were caught off guard. We didn't know that the government could be so corrupt that they would do something like that. And, it took us a little while to catch on, but we're there now. And I think it's harder for them, in fact, darn near impossible for them to do that kind of thing again.
Yeah. The people are too far down the rabbit hole
Yep.
for any of this stuff to get traction anymore.
Yep.
They know it. That's why you have the AP telling people how you need to speak now about things, because they're not getting any traction. It's fun to watch, guys. It's just falling apart. Their house of cards is I don't think being falling down. I think it's being burnt down, and it's very interesting times.
There was a post on Telegram the other day, and I grabbed it. I think someone had posted, and they said the system is not broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to work, which is not the way we want it to work. And this idea, and here's your word, Lewis, reform. There is no reforming this system. The only way to fix it is to tear it down and start it again.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
So it goes in every direction, every industry. The corpocracy is real. These corporations are run by a lot of really left-wing people who are, interested in that controlling power, and that's really what's driving it all. It's like this desire to control the population. Like, we don't want to be controlled. We want to have a little bit of freedom here. That's what this country was sort of founded on. I don't know that we ever, if you look at our history, I don't know if we ever were in a point where we had the freedom that was promised in the Constitution. I think the Constitution was aspirational. I think that's what we're shooting for, but I don't know if we've ever gotten there. What do you think?
No, I think that's a brilliant thought, actually, because I think the intent was there, but freedom was a new thing even in 1776.
Yep.
Right. So it was a new concept, and as you know, I mean, just look at Stockholm syndrome, right? So people in Stockholm syndrome, it's really hard for them to transition into a normal life afterwards.
Yep.
If you get prisoners that have been in jail over 3-4 years, it's very hard for them to get back in to the swing of things. So you can imagine in 1776 where there was some great oppression, and then there were pockets of freedom, and then they introduced vast freedom across the land. It's probably very uncomfortable for people, and that gave opportunity, in my opinion, for localities and governments to start pulling back on these freedoms that were already given.
Yep.
I find it very interesting, right? And because the Constitution, the way it stands, and so on and so forth, minorities and women should have had full freedoms anyway.
Yeah.
Then it was slowly pulled back from a societal issue or standpoint, and then therefore then they had to make amendments to make it correct. It's crazy, but I think people are getting it now in force. And that genie's not going back in the bottle.
No, not anytime soon. Yep. I'm just bringing your volume up a little bit. You were a little bit low there. You may be a little bit distant from your microphone today.
Maybe. I won't move it since you already adjusted the volume.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Speaking of freedoms and craziness that's going on, this is Harvard today. Harvard University.
Harvard.
So it's the pro-Palestinian protests going on, spreading from NYU and Columbia University in New York City, now up to Harvard. And later this afternoon, we found out that it was University of Texas in Austin. I kind of like the students there with the Palestinian garb on. It's kind of interesting.
It's easy to find them.
Yeah,
that's an easy target.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in Harvard. In Harvard, I would think I would have saw a lot more penny loafers and black patent shoes, but there's a lot of tennis shoes there. Are they seriously going to Harvard?
That's right.
They're probably from Yale.
Well, that tells you how much things have changed.
Yes,
because it's no longer high class like it was. It's got the reputation of that, but it's not that anymore, right? None of these are.
It's not.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a lot easier to get into Harvard than it used to be, as long as you are not white. And I mean, that's just part of it. But it doesn't matter. Who cares about a school that used to be all white anyways? Because they went from one pendulum extreme to the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both are wrong. Interesting enough about this, though, is this is where, well, I frustrate people, because I'm not all in on Israel. The Israel is a deep state run country. It's as corrupt as you possibly can imagine. It's dirty and disgusting what they do, yes, including Netanyahu, right? That doesn't give a pass to Hamas. Because if you look at Hamas and the people that run Iran, those are also deep state operations. The problem is we get so myopic in our thinking. We have to be all in on Israel or all in on Hamas, and so it's no, guys. They're all deep state actors.
What difference does it make
Yep.
at the end of the day? You know, we're not. You know who you are. I know who I am. I look in the mirror. I know who that guy is looking back at me. I know what the deal is. And somebody else can call me whatever they want. That's their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. I could care less. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we have to be able to come back to that and not fear the labels, the titles, the branding, if you will, that they're going to throw at us, because it doesn't define you. You define you. And as long as you can remember that, then it doesn't matter what people say about you. I often wonder about politicians, though. I don't know why, when they're accused of something, that they come out immediately and they deny it, which is pushing against, which gives them, it puts them in a very defensive position. They already look guilty. I don't know why they just don't come out and say, this is what this person thinks. They're entitled to their opinion. I know differently.
Sure.
I know what the truth is, and just leave it at that. Don't fight back at it.
Yep.
I categorically deny these things happened. Well, that doesn't tell me it didn't happen. You know what I mean? It's just, it makes you look guilty in my eyes. I don't know. How about you, Lewis?
I agree with you. We're in interesting decades, plural, an interesting 2 centuries for sure, and but we're turning the corner, and it's not hopium. This is hope, because we really are turning the corner, and again, genie ain't going back in the bottle, guys.
No, and if you can't see it yet, you still have the blinders on, honestly, because the wheels are falling off in every direction. Every direction. I mean, you think people are going to trust the FDA going forward? Do you think you're going to trust your doctor going forward? I know a lot of people are like, screw the doctor. I don't care what they say. I'm not doing what they say to do. You look at the disclosure we talked about last year being disclosure. It's disclosure on steroids now. Stuff is popping up in every direction. And you say, well, why didn't this come out 2 years ago? Why didn't it come out? Why didn't she come forward? And Phoebe was asking that. Well, now it's a little bit late. It's like, I think they were scared, but now that there are more people coming forward, it's easier for more, and that's why it's just opening up. It's like the onion is blooming now, and we're getting a lot of this stuff. So it's a great time to be around because we're learning a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. So Judge Cannon today, or yesterday, I think, has unredacted. This was all blacked out by all these documents. A number of documents showing the Biden admin coordinated with the DOJ prior to the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago during the prosecution of former President Donald Trump. These documents, reported by Julie Kelly, show a number of startling developments. Number one, Jack Smith hid the fact the National Archives had several conversations with the Biden White House about bringing charges against Donald Trump. They said they never did. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland lied about independence from investigations into Trump. The Biden White House counsel asked to be kept in the loop about criminally charging President Trump. Biden's DOJ instructed the National Archives on how to cover up their coordination. Nothing illegal there, huh? The Department of Energy discovered Trump had an active security clearance after he was indicted, so they retroactively terminated it. Again, a lot more disclosure, right? We saw this, 2022 that they did this raid? It was quite a while ago now, right?
Yeah. And we knew it was coordinated at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is it coordinated by actors or coordinated by the deep state?
Yeah.
Because again, here we go with the slow rollout of information. We knew it, we said it, we speculated, and then more evidence came out. We go, administration was actually not only coordinated this, I guess they spearheaded it from what I was hearing.
Yep.
And now we are today where it's full release. It's undisputed anymore. So this is great news, by the way, for you patriots that have been wanting more things. I know you want to see the video of former presidents hanging by a rope at Guantanamo Bay. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think people are ready for this. But what you have to do is, and I've been saying this in many counties, you have to get it on record. You have to build a case. So this case that's being built, let's assume that the many arrests and tribunals have already been done, right? So what we're doing now is it's being built a public case to put on the record, so we the people understand and get there slowly. So when it comes time for a public arrest, tribunal, execution, whatever it is, it'll be absorbed pretty easy. So, but I know patriots are like, I want it now. We understand. We know what's going on. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you're still the minority, not the majority.
We are. I was telling Phoebe this. We're literally on the front leading edge of all of this, and it's the frustrating place to be because so many still have to catch up. And it's like when you get that question. So Rob, what's going on? It's like, where do I start? You know what I mean? It's like they got a lot of catching up to do. A lot of catching up. And Judge Aileen Carroll could have unredacted this a year ago. Why did it take so long, right? So it feels like you're right. There is a timing in place here, where maybe she's being instructed. Don't do it yet. Hang on. Wait. Okay, now, go. Right. So.
Yep. It feels like this is being puppeteered right now.
It does, doesn't it? It really, really, really does. Okay. So I have a cat who's addicted to adrenochrome. I just learned.
Is it called super sauce?
No, actual real adrenochrome, which was kind of interesting. This is Thumper, or as Denise likes to call her, Trumper. Call him Trumper. But yeah, we had a cat many, many years ago, and had caught a mouse.
Cat of gophers.
You are an accomplice, no question.
Wow, feeling bad now. By the way, if you want to be an accomplice also, the link is below for Pet Club 247.
Yes, it is in the description of the video. Whichever channel you're watching us on, the description is there. And it's certainly worthwhile giving it a shot, as I mentioned when I interviewed Kristen last Friday. If you didn't see that interview, go watch it. She delivered a lot of great information. Give it a try for 30 days. You're not obligated to anything. There's no reason to, you don't have to continue if it doesn't work. But I assume the thousands of testimonials that she's sitting on, pretty good track record that this is going to do something for your pet to give them more energy, make them more youthful, and clear up a lot of diseases that are otherwise incurable.
Yep.
Go watch the video. You'll see a lot more about that. Cool. All right. So we have a list of people in the media. Trump-hating media, they call it. These are commentators in the media. They've been meeting weekly for 2 years to strategize on how to bring down Trump. Recognize some of these faces? Bill Kristol, Andrew Weissman, Lawrence Tribe, George Conway, Jeffrey Toobin. He's famous for another reason, and John Dean. These guys have been meeting to figure out how to take down Trump.
Interesting. So what is the definition of a journalist? Are they not supposed to be independent?
They're supposed to be independent.
Right.
Ideally.
So you have, I'm going to use the word, you have journalists, media types now conspiring interference. That's treason. Let's just call it for what it is. And I hope people start to talk about it in those avenues, because that's what it is. These people are conspiring against President Trump. When, as a journalist, they do take an oath, believe it or not, and that oath is they're absolutely supposed to be unbiased and report the stories for real and not direct people in any certain direction, unless it's an op-ed and they tell you this is my opinion. That's what OP stands for, I believe. So it's very interesting. We knew it. We've always known it. But the fact that they've caught these 6 people conspiring like this and having meetings, wow, that's interesting.
So one of the things you have to look at too is that I think Bill O'Reilly broke the wall to that where you couldn't no longer tell the difference. So Walter Cronkite was strictly news, right? He would present the quote unquote the facts as they knew them. You decide. You never knew he was a Democrat. You never knew he was a Republican. You didn't really know. That didn't come through because that was the way the news was supposed to be. And then Bill O'Reilly, I think, was one of the first to say he did news, but he did news/opinion. And I think Rush Limbaugh contributed a lot to that too. Or, well, you knew his show was opinion. And a lot of the journalists realized it's like, well, if you want the viewers, you have to do the opinion part. You can't just do the raw news. There was a publication that came out a few years back called The Week. And they were, unbiased. It was just, here are the facts. And it went nowhere.
Right.
Why? Because people want what? They want someone else to think for them.
They do, yeah.
Right.
But here's what's interesting, though. I also think you have an obligation to disclose. Look at the title of our program: SPG News and what?
Views. Yeah.
Because we're telling you right there that we're going to give you our opinion, and that's what we should. And many times we say, I don't know. Here's what we think, because we value you to make the decisions, not us.
Yeah, and the last thing we want to do is have you believe what we believe, unless it's in alignment with where you are and what you think. If you think the same way we do, that's fantastic. But if you don't, that's fantastic too. In fact, there are people who correct us. So, they'll send us emails, say, I know what you guys said on the show, but here's another piece to it, or another link to something else. You may change your mind, and sometimes we do, because we get more information.
And they're always wrong, by the way.
We're not abashed. Yeah, we're not abashed to do that.
In the chat, real quick, they say something that, for years I've been saying with proof. It says, TV newscasters are just paid actors known as TV personalities. Like actors who read a TV news drama series, they have political agendas. That's from Love Always Loves. In fact, I'll take it to another level, is your so-called newscaster on the main networks actually sign a contract as an entertainer, not as a journalist.
Yep. And when you look at that teleprompter, they don't know what's on it. They didn't create those stories. They didn't write those stories. They didn't research those stories. An on-air personality is exactly that, an on-air personality. Different for Lewis and I, we actually go in and do all of that back-end work, and there's no one feeding us the news. We are coming up with our outline, and we're putting this together. But you look at the people who are on the news, and they're meant to look good on camera, and they got to be able to read that teleprompter, and they can do that flawlessly. They get paid really well.
No, they do.
Yeah. And they're told what they can and cannot say, by the way. It's very strict. They can't change a word on there. When they're reading the script, they can't change the words. They can't add to it. They can't, this is the way it is. It's going to come across as your opinion. It's going to come across whatever it's going to come across as, and they can't change it. I don't know. It's not a role I would ever take. If I couldn't work under those conditions. Sorry. Got to go.
Seems very Max Headroom-ish.
Yeah. Well, we may be able to replace these people with AI. Oh, that'll be worse.
Yeah. Don't start.
Elon's in the news again. Mr. Musk, he is being demanded by the Australian senator. Says Elon Musk should be in jail and the key should be thrown away.
They are so afraid, Robert. They're just so afraid.
They're so afraid. So Musk is under relentless attack from the Aussie officials for allowing free speech on X. An Australian senator has called for X owner Elon Musk to be jailed for life for refusing to adhere to the Australian government's demand to remove a video of the brutal attack on a Christian bishop in Sydney last week by an apparent Muslim extremist. So Elon responded, "Our concern is that if any country is allowed to censor content for all countries, which is what the Australian e-safety commissar is demanding, then what is to stop any country from controlling the entire internet? We have already censored the content in question in Australia pending legal appeal, and it is stored only on servers in the USA."
Well, the goal of the deep state in every single country is to have state-run media.
Correct.
That's what it is. So the guy's just showing his colors, which, by the way, is a complete sign of panic. And this is what I hope people start to notice. With all these things that we think are disclosures, let's even assume that there is no plan. But what happens is they're so much in a panic that they are throwing everything out there, and they literally are choosing their side publicly, good versus evil.
Yep.
So even assume there's not a plan. Let's just be very pragmatic about this, very base, and we'll say, okay, no plan. But look at them. They are freaking out. So they're publicly going, we need to put Elon in jail because he lets people speak freely. Oh, it's crazy.
And then you look what happened a little bit later in the day after all of that comes out, and oops, look at this. What's the number one app in Australia?
Looks like it has an X on it, too.
X is the number one downloaded app in Australia because people want free speech. Like, oh, it's a free speech platform. We're there. People don't want the censorship. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry to break it to you, Zuck. People don't want it. Not at all. All right. We have a message from our buddies over at Gateway Pundit. Now, this is rather important because Lewis and I keep telling you that the good guys are being attacked constantly, right? And, we know we get pressure on us to do certain things and not do certain things. And they try to deplatform us. They try, we get it. And it happens to everyone in this community. In the community all of a sudden dying suddenly, which is a little concerning. We don't know what's going on. So this is from Gateway Pundit. This is the founder, Jim Hoft. He published this today. He said a message from our founder. TGP Communications, the parent company of the Gateway Pundit, recently made the decision to seek protection under Chapter 11 of the United States Bankruptcy Code in the Southern District of Florida as a result of the progressive liberal Lawfare tax against our media outlet. Sounds familiar? This is not an admission of fault or culpability. This is a common tool for reorganization and to consolidate litigation when attacks are coming from all sides. It allows TGP to consolidate this lawfare in one court for ultimate resolution. Despite the radical left's efforts to silence the Gateway Pundit through censorship, deplatforming, debanking, cut off from advertisers, and other financial strategies, we will not be deterred from our mission of remaining fearless and being one of the most trusted independent media outlets in America today. We do not expect that to change.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's in anything that's not going to push the narrative is going to get attacked.
Yeah.
And it can cost a lot to these companies for sure. So I see what they're doing, and it makes sense. Even better though, it's just more public exposure of the corruption in regards to censorship. And Lawfare is number one, guys, by the way. We think it's something else. Lawfare is number one.
Yeah.
Just absolutely look what they've done to a lot of media outlets. Look what they've done to Mike Lindell. It's all about Lawfare. They want to drain your bank accounts and have you just go away. That's their goal. I've been through a Lawfare case.
Yeah.
And it was extraordinary. It gave one of my partners a heart attack. It forced the other one into retirement, and it cost us over $1 million, and took me forever to pay off most of the problems because of it. And we were completely in the right, and we won, and it still was happening from a cabal company. So it happens. It's real. This is the way they do it, and I sure hope that this is part of the takedown, is to prevent these unnecessary frivolous issues, to put people in these positions, or at least enable a countersuit that can protect you.
Well, that's what happened to Mike Lindell. Is he got pulled off all these platforms for advertising, and Fox News was the most recent one, taking him off their network so he couldn't advertise anymore. And it was because they were getting calls from concerned viewers about Mike Lindell. But it turns out this is an organization that's put together on the left, and they go and they attack the advertiser. So the advertisers get scared because they don't want to lose their business. They don't want to be, improperly branded. So they decide, well, it's easier to just pull the advertising. And that's what happened on Gateway Pundit. That's what happened to, Mike Lindell, and on it goes. And they do that, and they attack your financial underpinnings.
Yeah, and ironically, the people who are calling never even clicked on Fox News or Gateway Pundit.
Correct.
This is an organization where they're just calling. They're lying, is what they're doing.
They're call centers, exactly. Yep.
Yep. we're a concerned viewer, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. But I believe we're getting all this information out, and it's we've got them. We just need to hang in there, guys. Just hang in there. And I know I hate saying that because it's tough, but it's on its way.
This group understands. I mean, the viewers that we have here, the great audience that we've got, is they really understand that this is a game, and right now, at some points it doesn't look like we're winning, but because we're not giving up, we eventually win. Right? It's the one who's the most committed to the outcome always wins. In any argument, the one who's the most committed is going to win, because the other one eventually will give up. Right? And that's true here too. And we're more committed. We're more committed to saving this country and having our freedoms back, and having truth coming out of the media than they are about doing it. And you can see there's uncertainty when you watch mainstream media. And I don't do it a lot, but I catch clips here and there, and you can see the uncertainty. They really try to punch it, but you can see they're not selling me on it anymore. They used to. They're not anymore.
Yeah, because they don't believe their own hype anymore.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And, they're looking around. They're saying, well, we're saying these things, but that's not what we're seeing in society. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So when they lie, you can tell the energy shifts and they're not quite the same, right? So they're playing that way. Hey, we have a guy who doesn't lie who's going to be joining us on Friday. Lance Shuttler's going to be here.
Yep. Lance is a great, great guy. And
Patriot.
We have a lot of things going on. We also have... people don't know this, but I'm doing a Q&A tomorrow with Bruce Poppy right here at this time on this channel and
beautiful.
Bruce's channel.
Beautiful.
That'll be a lot of fun. So you guys can post your Q&A into Telegram and social media all over the place, and we will answer any of your questions. And I'm totally excited about Lance. By the way, Lance is not going to bring just nutrition. That'll be a small part of what he does. He will bring some commentary that is really some badass stuff, and this is what I loved about bringing Lance on.
Yeah, Lance is very informed and does a ton of research. I mean, that's his joy to do the research, not just in the healthcare industry, but also in current events. And why we love him is just his products are top notch, number one, but also he's an amazing fellow as well. It's hard for us to just take any company on. It's like we have to know the principles, we have to know who's behind it, we have to know where they stand on the issues, that kind of thing. And it's not like we want to discriminate, but for them to be able to sponsor us and support us in the way that they do, we have to have some sort of alignment there. And certainly with him, we do. And I cannot wait to bring him on Friday.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So
and I'll just let you guys know, if you want to find out more, just go to sbgascent.com. This is just one of many products that Lance has. sbgascent.com is the link you want to have on hand to find the stuff he's got available. Even got some great, mold-free coffee, which tastes very different than the coffee you're used to. I love it so much. It's such a different flavor. So he's got a lot of cool stuff. I don't know which one he's going to be talking about on Friday, but certainly that'll be part of his conversation, but we will cover a lot of current events. Similar to what we did last week with Kristen for Pet Club 24/7. It was not just an ad. She did talk about Pet Club a little bit at the end, but she just brought the heat on that whole industrial medical complex and things that you need to know. And we had a really great conversation there. So lots of good stuff.
amazing event. So be there, Truthathon, all day Saturday. And
Take
there's
us
a
with
couple
you
other-
on your phone. And then what I used to do when I wasn't hosting, I would just listen to these things all the time and just have it on the phone. And I was out doing my errands and playing it in the store. People were like, what are you listening to? Truthathon, what's that? Well, it gets you into conversation. But yeah, you can take it with you, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And guys, I see some negativity in the chat. It doesn't matter if you don't resonate with one or two people on here. I'm not the arbiter of truth. So we bring people on and make up your mind and ignore that segment if you don't like the segment. Okay. We don't need any negativity anymore. I don't resonate with that. It doesn't move the ball forward, in my opinion. That's what I believe. And that starts at 9 a.m. in Pacific time, 12 Eastern. And we'll probably end up going till probably 6 or 7-ish Pacific time, 10-ish Eastern would be my guess.
Be a
It'll
full
be a lot
day.
of fun.
I'm going to have to bring a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
have a lot of
snacks.
fun.
I can't leave
We have a
I
lot
can't leave the desk.
We'll probably have a lot of prizes. I'm going to call Matt and see if we can give away a bunch of silver coins. How
Okay.
cool would that be?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
be there. Now I
Next
have two more
announcement.
announcements. Yes. Okay, so June 8th and 9th, I will be speaking in Florida at touching my microphone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
So it's got to be on your feed coming out on
Testing,
your
testing,
side.
1, 2. Let's see if they get it. No sound.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Give us a 5-5 if you could even hear Robert.
This is a test, my friends. I'm showing VU meters popping all the way here, so I'm showing that I'm sending sound.
No, the chat is going crazy with no sound.
Oh, no.
Okay, now they say they got it.
Now
Do
5
you
by
have
5.
Robert and Lewis? 5-5, just put 5-5 both if you have both of us.
5-5 both now. Buckshot. Thank you, Buckshot. Appreciate that.
All right. Appreciate it. So that was fun. So I don't know if you heard anything, but all we can tell you is go to quantumsummit1776.com. You'll see a phenomenal lineup of speakers there. That's on June 8th and June 9th. And I will be flying in to speak there and hopefully hang out with some friends in Florida. That's in Cape Canaveral, by the way. They also have an online sign up, and I believe it's free because I don't see a ticket sale for that. That's pretty cool. All right. You ready for the drum roll? Here's
I'm
big
ready for the
announcement,
drum roll.
guys. We've been waiting over a year for this. It is official. This week, we are rolling out the Freedom in Action app. Dun, dun, dun. Now, it is going to come out in beta first because I wanted this to be massively tested throughout everybody. No, it is not on iPhone yet. We need to make sure this is rolling. It will not be on the app stores for a couple of weeks, but we will be putting this on rememberyouroath.com. We will be putting this in freedominaction.net and ScrewBigGov and all over social media. You will get access to, finally, the Freedom in Action app. It has gone through, it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Honestly, it makes me sick to my stomach how much it's cost, but we made a promise here that we put it out, be free, and that it would self-finance, and that's what we did. So it's coming out. Very exciting. So what is this app? Folks, this app is a special app that has geo-targeting. So you put it on there, and you can find events going on anywhere pretty much in the world. But let's just talk about the United States. So if you want to say what's going on in Maricopa County, right? The events will pop up for Maricopa County. If you want to meet people within Maricopa County, if you want to organize to bring somebody or meet people to organize and go talk to a sheriff, say in Detroit, Michigan, or if you want to go to a school board in some place in Florida, or can organize with people immediately and get 50, 100, 200, 500 people there. This is how we the people win. This is an absolute game changer. So look for it in the next couple of days. We will need your help. We will need your help. So you have to respond to it. We'll even set up an email address that you're going to respond and give us all your feedback. We'll have it monitored all the time and see what we can do. This is already on Android. I loaded it up after all this. We had the last mega changes. Took forever to get done. I just loaded up and tested it today. I'm so excited about this, guys. It's going to be a blast for us, and I believe this is the game changer for we the people. This is really, really cool. So after it's out, play around with it a little bit, geo-target. You'll learn how to do that on the app, and then if you're happy with it, send it to everybody that you possibly know. And if you're not, we have an email, you respond, and we'll get things fixed right away. But this is going to be amazing. I'm pumped, really pumped about this.
Can't wait to see it, Lewis. It's only for Android at the moment, I believe.
Only for Android. It can be easily. We have app builders for the iPhone standing in the background, but we've learned that you get it working on one platform and then you roll it out on the others.
Yep. So that's about half the audience that'll be able to test it, and the link will go out, I believe you said Monday?
I'm not giving a date.
Okay.
In a few days.
Okay.
The link is going to go out. It will be on through social. It'll be on Telegram. It'll be everywhere. It'll be on our websites. Lisa still has to load all the stuff. They even have the directions, how to load it on your phone. This is amazing. This is badass. And we will make adjustments to it because I'm sure we'll find out when we get a bunch of people on there, there will be bugs.
Yeah.
This is beta testing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to say that it's finally out and we can do something with this.
Cool. Can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm on the other platform, on the Apple guy's side. You know, not a good thing, but it is.
We don't want to talk to you users.
You users, what's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you?
All right. Well, I have gone through our outline for today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Remember to like, follow, and share. If you like this program, please let other people know because we love doing it. We love being here with you. Lewis, thank you for your input today. Much appreciated.
You too, brother. Appreciate you.
Cool. All right. So we'll see you and Bruce tomorrow, and I'll be back with you and Lance